A few hours ago, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, General Alexander Syrskyi, received bad news from the Pokrovsk direction of the front. In particular, war correspondents from both sides confirmed that on October 20, 2024, at 3 p.m. Moscow time, Russian troops managed to enter the city of Selidovo from the eastern direction. According to them, the Russian army managed to gain a foothold in the eastern part of Selidovo and began covering this city from the northeast and southeast sides. The fact that the Russian army entered the city of Selidovo was also confirmed by Ukrainian telegram channels, referring to statements by the commanders of the Ukrainian army units. Later, a Ukrainian officer with the call sign Muchnoy also confirmed that the Russian army entered this strategically important settlement. According to him, assault groups of Russian troops entered the eastern part of Selidovo and had already captured several streets in the private sector of this city. At the same time, the Ukrainian officer noted that the situation in Selidovo is still under control, since the main line of the Ukrainian army's defense lies in the area of multi-story buildings. In addition, the Ukrainian officer also stated that Russian combat aviation and artillery are working non-stop, which indicates that the Russian army is preparing for a massive assault on the city of Selidovo. Russian combat aviation and artillery are constantly striking the positions of our troops, even in the dead of night. In addition, Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups are actively working in the central, northern, and southern parts of the city. All this indicates that the Russians will soon launch a massive assault on Selidovo, the Ukrainian officer said. Commenting on the situation in Selidovo, many Western military experts and analysts expressed confidence that the Ukrainian army would not be able to provide effective resistance in this city. According to them, Ukrainian troops may leave the city in the coming weeks, as soon as they feel that the Russian army is surrounding them. By the way, the Russian Ministry of Defense also officially announced the liberation of the village of Zorianoy, northeast of Kharkovka. However, the bad news for the Ukrainian General Staff did not end there. As it turned out, on October 20, 2024, the Ukrainian army lost an entire platoon and 3 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, while trying to attack the positions of Russian troops in the village of Syrskyi, in the Pokrovsk direction of the front. According to war correspondents, in the early morning of October 20, the Ukrainian army, with the help of 70 soldiers and 3 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, moved out of Selidovo and tried to dislodge Russian troops from the settlement of Syrskyi. However, unfortunately for the Ukrainian High Military Command, things didn't go as planned from the very beginning. During this attack, one of the 3 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles hit a mine. And just a couple of minutes later, the 2nd infantry fighting vehicle got stuck in the mud. The remaining 3rd IFV Bradley tried to get a combat vehicle out of the mud, but failed to complete the task, also finding itself in a mud trap. As a result, the Ukrainian soldiers had to single-handedly destroy these combat vehicles to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. Immediately after that, the Ukrainian soldiers retreated in the direction of Selidovo with heavy losses in manpower. It is reported that as a result of this unsuccessful attack, the Ukrainian army lost 60 soldiers and 3 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. In the Kursk region, the situation of the Ukrainian army has also deteriorated rapidly over the past 24 hours. According to Russian telegram channels, as of October 21, 2024, Ukrainian nationalists were completely neutralized in the Syrskyi district of the Kursk region. Currently, a cauldron was formed in the Syrskyi district of the Kursk region, where the remaining Ukrainian army units are trapped. It is reported that in the coming days, Russian troops will finally connect the left and right sides of the so-called bottleneck, as a result of which the grouping of the Ukrainian army located in the Kursk region will be split into two parts. Realizing this, the Ukrainian High Military Command continues to throw the remaining reserves into constant counterattacks, trying to prevent the splitting of the Ukrainian army in the Kursk region. However, all these attempts to stop the advancing Russian troops lead to heavy losses in manpower and equipment of the Ukrainian army. According to an official statement by the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, in the last 24 hours alone, the Ukrainian army has lost 420 soldiers, 5 artillery pieces, and 10 armored vehicles in the Korynevsky and Sudzansky districts of the Kursk region. It is reported that since August 6, the Ukrainian army has lost 25,000 soldiers, 700 pickup trucks, 170 tanks, 970 armored fighting vehicles, and 110 armored personnel carriers in the Kursk region. Meanwhile, on the night of October 20, the Russian armed forces launched another massive missile attack on the territory of Ukraine. It is reliably known that during this attack, Russia used dozens of ballistic and cruise missiles. In addition, to identify the exact location of Ukrainian air defense systems, the Russian military used about 90 germanium kamikaze drones. According to independent monitoring services, numerous explosions were recorded in such Ukrainian regions as Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv, and Dnipropetrovsk. So, in the Zaporizhia region, in the northwestern part of the city of Zaporizhia, Russian ballistic missiles hit a large ammunition depot. It is reported that in addition to the destroyed warehouse, the Ukrainian army also lost about 30 soldiers, who were on the territory of this military facility. In the Kharkiv region, in the western part of the city of Kharkiv, germanium kamikaze drones, together with guided aerial bombs of the Fab family, hit the places of temporary deployment of personnel of the Ukrainian army and foreign mercenaries. According to preliminary data, as a result of this attack, about 50 Ukrainian soldiers and 20 foreign mercenaries were killed. At least 7 explosions were recorded in Ivano-Frankivsk and Lviv regions. Unfortunately, as of October 21, there is still no exact data on what exactly the Russian military destroyed in these western regions of Ukraine. And finally, in the Dnipropetrovsk region, in the northwestern part of the city of KRYVYI RIH, a Russian Iskander-M ballistic missile struck the hotel DRUZBA. As it turned out, at the time of this missile attack, British and US officers were in this hotel. It is reported that they came to Ukraine to work on the modernization of the Mobile Ground-Based Tactical Signal Intelligence System and MLQ-40 Prophet. Even though local authorities are carefully concealing the result of this missile attack, representatives of the Russian underground in Ukraine reported that rescuers had already recovered the bodies of 20 foreign citizens from the rubble.